Hi, welcome to the 15-minute webinar episode 2. Thank you for joining me. Today we're looking at Microsoft Word and we're looking at using styles. One of the things that always amazes me that when I speak to people and I say to them, do you use Word? And they say, oh yeah, of course we do. I say, oh, you must use styles then. And they say, no, what are styles? And I say, well, you're not actually using Word then. You're obviously just playing with it, because unless you're using styles in Microsoft Word, you are not using it in the most efficient way that you can do. So let me go and share my screen with you. Here's my Word document. It's just a one-page document at the moment. There's a little bit of bold formatting on there. But the thing is, you are actually using styles. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're using Word, you are using styles. But the only style that you're using, as you can see on my screen here, is the normal style. Now, I can't remember where I saw this, but it always resonates with me when I think about styles. I heard that somebody said if you have a piece of software and you have a ribbon to navigate, or you have a menu structure, if something's taking up quite a bit of room on that menu structure, then it's probably quite important. And if you look at the amount of space that styles takes up, I think that's pretty true. It takes up at least a third of your screen across your ribbon. So styles, this is my styles gallery, gives me some predefined styles that I can use to format my workbook. So if I look at this and I say, okay, what is a spreadsheet? That's a title, or maybe it's a header. So I need to make that a little bit bigger. So we normally highlight it. We normally go to our font size and we maybe bump it up to a 28 or something. We go and change the color so it stands out a little bit. Maybe we'll put a bit of an underline on there. What about if we lined it up in the center? And we think, actually, that looks pretty good. Okay, it obviously doesn't, but in my eyes, that looks pretty good. So, but it's not using styles. By default, my document has inherited the styles from the template that when you open up a new document, this is I'm going to treat this as what we call a header 1. I just need to click into that paragraph. And then on my styles, I've got something on there called H1, my header 1. And when I click onto it, it gives me a predefined format. It's a Cambria heading, size 16. It's in a particular color, but I quite like the look of that. Now when I go down to my objectives, this is going to be my level 2. So I've actually got a header 2 on there. And again, when I click onto that style, it gives me a predefined format. And it's fairly consistent across my different levels. You can see I've got a heading 3, heading 4, heading 5. If I drop down the list, my gallery, everything that's in there, there's lots of different built-in styles. You can create your own styles if you wanted to. So if you've got a specific format, color, alignment, font size, you can create a style for that. And it means that in a single click, you can apply that style as many times as you want. So that looks pretty good. And then I come down and I think, okay, objectives. This is my first level objective. But it doesn't need a style because we're just using the normal style. So I'm quite happy that all of this is just normal now. All of these paragraphs are just normal. And that's what you get when you just start typing. If I come all the way down then to where it says getting started. Well, actually, there's one extra thing I want to do. I've got a level 1, header 2. My useful terminology, I want that to be a header 3. And there we go. That is now a header 3. So we've now got 3 levels of headers within my first block of text. If I come down to where it says getting started, click into my paragraph, that's going to be a header 1. So it looks exactly the same as my header 1 on the previous section. Objectives, yeah, is my header 2. And then if I come down here, my upgrading from previous versions, I actually want that to be a header 2 as well. So objectives and upgrading are both at the same level. Now, one of the things that using these styles gives me is not just about consistency, but what it also gives me is the chance to navigate and to move things and to copy and move things really quickly. And the way that I do that, if we take a look now, is I'm going to go onto my Home tab and I'm going to click on the Find button. Now there is a shortcut for this. If you're a shortcut fanatic, Control F is the shortcut. And when you do that, it opens up your navigation panel on the left hand side. Now this is really useful because you can look for phrases or words. So if I need to find something like the word calculation, trust me to speak something I can't spell, calculate, okay, it says you haven't got calculate. What about if you just look for calc L? And there we go. So I was close, calculations. If I look for the words, what have we got in there? Quite a bit off. We've probably got worksheet in there, or the work. There we go. The word work is in there 17 times. I can scroll down using my arrows at the top here to my next one, and it takes me through my document and highlights all of the areas where that phrase or that word is displayed. Now that's nothing to do with styles, by the way, but I thought it was quite useful for you to see. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to go into my headings section in the navigation, and what that allows me to do now, and you can make this as wide or as small as you want it to be, it shows me my structure through my headings. You can collapse these back up to top levels. You can right click, you can expand and collapse in just one click of a button if you wanted to. But the thing is, I can navigate really quickly through my document, even if it's 100 pages. If I'm using my styles and my headers, I can then navigate through to that part of the document. So the thing about this is it's really useful because imagine that I've put this together, but I haven't put it together in the correct order. So actually, my getting started should have been the very first level header 1. So normally what I would do, I would go and faff around and highlight it, right click, do a cut, then I've got to navigate to where I want to paste it at the top. Yeah, you feel my pain because I know that's what you do. Now I've got my navigation over here. All I need to do, I'll just collapse them so you can see them easier. These are my 2 header 1s. I can drag my header 1, which is my second one, and I can put that above my first one. I've just changed the way that my document is now flowing. Maybe my objectives should have been the second header 2 within that first header 1, and all I do is just drag it, and the whole thing is just changing now. So to me, this was just an amazing moment back in, I think it was 2010, when we had this option, and I've been using it ever since. I can navigate, I can reorganize my documents just by dragging them from within my navigation panel. So for me, it's really useful to be able to right click on it and say, I want to select this heading and the content. It only selects from that level down. Then I could just do a quick copy and then I can go and do whatever I want with it. But without my navigation pane, I would find it really difficult now to work in Word. So back to my styles. I did say to you earlier on that the whole point of styles was not just about consistency, but also how easy it makes it for me to change things as well. And also, I can create a table of contents in just 3 clicks of a mouse. Yeah, 3 clicks. Keep me to that one. So first of all, I'm looking at this and I think, actually, I did like that blue, but I'm not that keen anymore. I prefer a different colour. Maybe I'd even prefer a different font. Now imagine that I got 50 pages with 30 headers on there, level 1, 40 level 2s, 50 level 3s. Yeah, it would take me a while to go through my document. All I have to do now, because I've got my styles on there, is right click on my header 1. It allows me to modify it. And when I modify it, it says, okay, what colour text are you using? Well, I don't want it to be blue. I want it to stand out. I want it to be bright red. It even shows me what it looks like. There's not that much spacing in between my header and my main normal text. So if I look over here, it gives me a couple of options which says, do you want to increase or remove space between your paragraphs? So, it's up to you whether you want to increase the space on there or remove the space. I'm going to put a bit of extra space around it. And then maybe the background is red, but what I want to do, I want to put a border around it. So I can click onto my format option at the bottom. I can go into my border, and maybe on my borders, I'm going to put something a little bit fancy on there. Now, it needs to be the same colour, so we're going to go red, but I only want a border on the left-hand side and underneath it. Let's make it a bit fancy, and I'm going to say OK. Wow, there we go, that looks a bit different. So now all I've got to say is OK, and the whole of my document has now changed. Every one of my header 1s is now red with a border. The only thing I didn't change was the font. So I'm quickly going to go back in. I'm going to modify it. I'm going to get to my font and I'm going to say, actually, I would like this to be, I don't know, what should we go for? Maybe we'll go for a bit of, Bauhaus 93. There we go. Very underutilized Bauhaus 93, but I think very effective. So I'm going to say okay, and there you go. The whole of my header 1s now, all 2 of them are at that level. I need to keep this consistent, so I'm going to go into my header 2. I'm going to modify that. I'm going to make it red. I'm going to make it my Bauhaus 93. Do I put a border on there? Well, I suppose if we keep it consistent. So again, back into my borders. We'll have it as a thinner border though. We'll have a 1.5 point. We'll have it red. And this time we'll just have an underline. We won't have a left-hand side one. Again, I'll say okay. Every one of my header 2s now has changed automatically. So you can see how easy it is to change a complete document. It doesn't matter how big it is, as long as you're sticking to your styles. So for me, that is a bit of a no-brainer. I always use styles. Obviously, not as bad as I'm using them here. There we go. That's how easy it is to modify a document. But after all that, if I think, well, that's pretty rubbish to be honest, I can go and explore on my design tab some other options, because we have a built gallery of built-in design styles. And I could go here and say, this is what it looked like in 2010. There we go. So I can change this now. All of these styles are exactly how 2010 were. Maybe I want to put it to something a bit more fancy. So there's a built-in style down here, look, called shaded. And when I click onto it, my level 1 header is a blue shaded background with white text in capitals, by the way. My level 2 is a slightly different colour shade of blue, capitals again, but in black. And then my header 3, my useful terminology, is without any shading, but we've got a border across the top of it. And all of my fonts are in Calibri, so they're all consistent across it. And all I had to do was go to my design tab and choose one of the built-in design styles that we've got. You can actually create your own style set. So if you do change anything in any one of these style sets, even if you go back to the normal one, make sure that you save it, because if you don't, you won't be able to get back to it. You'll lose it. So for instance, if I decided that instead of blue, this was going to be a shading, so border shading, and we're going to make that green. Ooh, okay, but we'll go with green anyway, and we'll say okay. Then we've changed it. The problem is if I go to another design set, I will lose that. So in your design gallery, it says this is what you're using at the moment. If I right click on it, it says, do you want to save it? And I'll say yes. What do you want to call it? So I'm going to call this my Tim's green style set, whatever you want to call it, and I'll say save. There we go. So now it doesn't matter whether I go to another style set and lose it, because I've now got my built-in custom one. That means that I can get back to it at any point in time. So the benefit of styles, as I said, what about if I need a table of contents now? Well, I'm going to put a new blank page at the top. So I've gone right back to the top of my document with Control Home. I'm at the top. I'm going to do Control Enter to put a page break on there. I'll go back to the top of my blank page now. And then on your References tab, here's your magic button. I said 3 clicks, didn't I? Well, that was my first click, References. My second click, Table of Contents. And my third click, which one do you want? I'm going to keep away from manual because that means hard labour. Got to do it myself, not interested. So I'm going to say, yeah, let's have the automatic 2. And lo and behold, I've got a table of contents without me having to type them. The beauty of that, you can update that by clicking into it. If any of the pages change, I can update the table of contents. It will update for me. So what about if I was going to decide that this is now going to be a header 1 section? So I'm going to go to my home tab. I'm going to click on header 1. I want this to be on a brand new page. So I'm literally going to do Control Enter. And then I'm going to do Control Home to get back to the top. My page numbers are now incorrect. This is not a header 2. This is a header 1 now. So all I have to do is click into it, update table, update the entire table to pick anything new up in there, rather than just changing the page numbers of what we've already got. And when I say OK, there's my new table of contents without any effort at all. And to be honest, if there was more effort than that, you wouldn't be getting the table of contents. I'm not going to type that in there. So there's one other thing that I want to have a quick look at, and this is where I've got a campaign going where just say no to pressing enter to get to the top of a new page. So let me turn this back to something that's a little bit easier on the eye from my design set. So let's put it back to, I'm not sure where we go. Was that 2010, 2003? I'm going to put it back to this just Word, no particular year. There we go. So these are still using my styles, and what I'm going to do, I want to put this on the top of the next page. So what you can do is you can just keep pressing enter. Not ideal. You can see that it's moving around, and as I get closer to the bottom, okay, just need to change that to a different style. There we go. It's now gone over onto a new page. The problem is there's a special button on your home tab called the Show Hide button. And when I click onto Show Hide, it shows me everywhere that you've been pressing enter. It's the end of the paragraph mark. So even on my normal document, I can see where I've pressed enter to go from the new paragraph to a new, from the last paragraph to a new paragraph. And these are dangerous because if I just insert, well, I'm going to copy because I'm cheating. If I just copy and pasted another set of paragraphs above it now, you'll notice that these all move down, and it means that this is not at the top of the page anymore. So I've got to keep going back in, and I've got to keep deleting those extra blank paragraph marks. So it's not the way to do it. So I'm going to delete all of those and bring it back to where it is. What we need to do is insert what we call a page break. Now there's two ways in which we can do this. We can do it from our insert tab. We've got a page break icon here. But if I just leave my mouse on there for a split second, have a look at the shortcut. It says insert a page break, control and return. That's what I tend to use. So all I've done, I've gone in front of that paragraph, I've done control and return, and it moves it to the top of the next page. If I put my Show Hide on, which is on my home tab, notice that it doesn't put lots of carriage returns in there. It's got a page break. So it doesn't matter if I actually put extra paragraphs in front of that, nothing changes on the top of the next page. It's not until it goes over to another page that this forces my getting started to start at the top of the third page now. So for me, once I learnt about this page break, I never went back because it used to take me so much time to keep reordering things below that page break. So again, I can delete a whole chunk of paragraphs there, and the whole page break moves up, which means this is now at the top of that particular page. Say no to carriage return, say no to pressing enter all the while, because it can really cause you problems. So there we go, working with styles. I hope you found it useful. Working like this makes it so much easier for you to modify your documents, and as you get more proficient in it, so much quicker to create your documents as well. So thank you for joining me today. Episode 2 of our 15-minute webinar. Look out for our third episode where we're going to be looking at using templates in your Microsoft Outlook.